All right, take a look at this. It's this tiny, kind of unassuming little computer, right? Looks simple, clean, almost basic. But here's the kicker. This little box has a price tag that'll make your jaw drop. 130 million Vietnamese dong. So, that's the big question, isn't it? How in the world can this tiny box cost, what is that, over 5,000 US dollars? It doesn't add up on the surface. So let's dig in and figure out what's really going on here. Okay, so let's start with the obvious. When you look at any computer, what's the first thing you think about? Performance, right? How fast is it? How powerful? Well, here's the thing. If you judge this machine by its speed, you're going to be completely misled. It's the wrong comparison to make. So let's put it head to head. For the same amount of cash, you could build yourself a beast of a PC, right? We're talking a top-of-the-line graphics card like an RTX 5090. That custom PC would absolutely smoke this little box in raw speed. It's built for high-precision work. Think of it as being a master surgeon. This Gigabyte AI top, on the other hand, it's slower, and it's optimized for lower precision tasks. It is incredibly power efficient though, pulling only 240 watts versus like 600 watts or more for just the GPU in that custom rig. But still, on paper, this looks like a really, really bad deal.
And that just deepens the mystery, doesn't it? If it's slower, if it's not as good at certain things, why on earth is it so expensive? Well, the answer has absolutely nothing to do with speed. It's about something else, something completely different.
So we need to throw out everything we think we know about judging a computer's value. This machine's secret weapon, its superpower, isn't processing speed at all. It's all about capacity. You know, it's not about how fast it can think, it's about how big of a thought it can hold in its head at one time.
And this is it. This is the key that unlocks the whole puzzle. 128 gigabytes, specifically 128 gigs of something called unified memory. That one spec right there, that's what justifies the entire price.
So what in the world is unified memory? Okay, think about it like this. In your typical computer, you've got the main brain, the CPU, and the heavy-lifting graphics brain, the GPU. They each have their own separate little notebooks of memory, and for them to work together on a problem, they have to waste time constantly passing notes back and forth. It's really slow. But with unified memory, it's like they're both standing in front of one giant shared whiteboard. The CPU can write something, and the GPU sees it instantly. The GPU can erase and add something else, and the CPU sees it right away. No more passing notes, no more delay. And to really get why this is such a game changer, you have to understand the problem it's solving. Let's talk about the massive bottleneck that just cripples traditional computers when they try to handle huge AI workloads. Okay, so picture this. In a normal computer, it's like a massive data traffic jam. All your important AI information, it starts out in the big city of your system RAM. But to get processed, it has to be sent over to the superfast factory, which is your GPU. The problem? The only way to get there is this tiny two-lane country road called the PCIe bus. So the data gets stuck in traffic, slowly inching its way over to the GPU's own little warehouse, its VRAM. And it's not a one-way trip, it has to go back and forth, constantly. That tiny road becomes a nightmare of a bottleneck.
But with unified memory, poof, that traffic jam is gone. The city and the factory are built right next to each other. The data doesn't have to travel anywhere, it's just there, instantly accessible to both the CPU and the GPU. That whole messy, four-step shuffle we just talked about, it becomes one single, elegant step.
Okay, so now that we get that, let's circle all the way back to that crazy price tag, that 130 million dong. Because now we can finally see what you're actually paying for. It's not speed, it's all about that sheer massive capacity. And this really puts it all into perspective. Look, even a future monster of a card like the RTX 5090, it's expected to have maybe 32 gigs of its own dedicated memory. This little Gigabyte box? 128. That's not just a little more. That is 4 times the capacity. We're talking about 2 completely different weight classes here.
And here's the absolute punchline. This little machine can hold an entire AI model, an entire problem that would take 4 of those super expensive RTX 5090s to even load into memory. See, a single graphics card, no matter how powerful, just hits a wall. If the model is bigger than its memory, it's game over. It can't even start. This machine, it might chew on that massive problem a bit slower, but the critical difference is it can do it. The other one can't, period. Not without a super complex and way more expensive multi-GPU server rack. You know, it's a lot like the good old RTX 3060. For a long time, that card was a fan favorite. Why? It wasn't the fastest thing on the block, not by a long shot, but it had a generous amount of VRAM.
so could tackle jobs that would make more powerful cards with less memory just completely choke and give up. Well, this mini PC is that same idea, but on a whole other level. It's not about winning the 100-meter dash, it's about having the stamina to actually finish the marathon.
So clearly this is not a machine for your average person, or even your average gamer. So who in the world is this for? Who would buy such a specialized and, frankly, expensive tool? Well, the person who needs this is a very specific kind of AI developer. We're talking about someone working with truly massive AI models, and they need to run them locally, right there on their desk. Maybe they're dealing with sensitive data, medical records, proprietary company secrets, so uploading it to the cloud is a complete non-starter. They want something small, quiet, that doesn't send their electricity bill through the roof. For them, having that giant pool of memory is the #1 priority. Everything else, including raw speed, comes second.
But look, it's not a magic bullet. Like any specialized tool, it comes with trade-offs. On the one hand, you get that insane memory capacity, it's super power efficient, and it's small and quiet. Amazing. But on the other hand, it's slower. Because it uses an ARM processor, like in your phone, some of your favorite software might not work on it. And you can't just keep adding more. You can link 2 of them together, and that's it. It's not like a server system you can scale up forever.
So in the end, what this little box represents is more than just a piece of hardware. It's a fork in the road for the future of AI. It's a peek at a totally different way of doing things. And it really makes you wonder, right? Is the future of AI development going to be locked away in massive, power-hungry data centers owned by a few giant companies? Or could it be something much more personal? Something like this, a powerful, private, and efficient little box sitting right on your desk.
If you enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to the later update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end, and see you in the next video.